Through the years, Wade Middleton and crew have traveled all across the globe in search of that next great fishing adventure here on the Fisherman's Handbook. Outside of the great state of Texas, one other state has stood out as a favorite destination, and that would be Alabama.
Blinking around. Oh, that's a fatty right there. Look at that guy. That's fun.
The state features a great number of extremely diverse fisheries that provide fishermen and women with all sorts of angling opportunities. On today's show, we'll take a look back at some of the highlights from our time spent in Alabama over the years.
He's about to God, he got him. We saw that literally at the boat ramp. We're here on Wilson Lake.
It's not a very big one.
He's not a very big one. I think we misjudged him jumping out of the water.
Yeah, we must have.
But he's still a fish.
It's a start.
Top water. I mean, we're like right here at one of the boat ramps on Wilson. We're gonna go out, mix it up, top water, probably throw Carolina rig, might crank a little.
Looking back on this particular trip from 4 years ago, Wade and Clark are fishing on Wilson Lake near Florence, Alabama. Wilson's right between Wheeler and Pickwick Lakes along the Tennessee River and provides great cover for fish both shallow and deep based on the current flow.
Golly, that's not good. If a 2-pounder comes out there and
Hits the pole.
hits the pole. Little basketball shot. Get mine out of the way. I like the commentary on that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's not good.
You know, the cool thing is when there's two of us fishing like this, you know, we can throw different baits. I'm throwing a walking bait. This is a Strike King Sexy Dog. Wade's throwing a popper. And you know, you just never know which bait's gonna actually be more effective.
Got him. Big
Smallmouth, that's cool.
Big smallmouth. Oh, son. Son, that is so fun.
That's awesome. We both love catching those big brown ones.
And he's dogging it too. Oh,
Yeah, you just thinking, don't break me off.
Oh, that's a big largemouth.
That's a big one too.
That's a big large. When I saw him jump, I thought surely that's a big brown one. It's almost the same spot, waypoint wise, of the other one. We might have to get a picture of that one. That's a big one. Nice. Get on back there, buddy. Grow up, be a big one. Boy, that's fun. You know, Carolina rigging up here is something we haven't done a lot of in our trips to Alabama, and it's not something that I tend to do a ton of to begin with. I'm such more of a bank, fast-moving fisherman, but definitely a way to catch them, Clark.
Smallmouth. So what's really happening though is they're turning water on, and as they turn it on, we seem to be getting more and more bites.
Alabama is known for its world-class largemouth bass fishing, but the state is also home to top-notch smallmouth and spotted bass fisheries as well. Those two species can bite on any cast and will be mixed right in with the largemouth.
And we finally get a big smallmouth. That's about a 3-pounder. That's a nice one. That's awesome. That's cool. That is awesome. You know, Wade and I both talked about it. We love smallmouth, and that's what we've been hoping for. He caught that big largemouth earlier, and we both thought it was a big smallmouth the way it jumped, and we finally got our big smallmouth. That's awesome.
After this short break, we'll take a look at another trip the crew made to Wilson Lake, this one just 1 year later. The bass are pushed up shallow and willing to bite. Stay tuned as Clark puts the power poles to use and picks apart these Wilson Lake bass.
We know if you found one crappie, you may have found 1,000. We know the joy of getting your boots back in the mud. we know the journey can be more rewarding than the destination. We know the great outdoors, we love the great outdoors. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Stop by today for huge savings on the gear you need and the brands you trust. Plus free 2-day shipping at BassPro.com and Cabela's.com.
Groundbreaking designs, unsurpassed quality, and unshakable confidence. Welcome to the Ranger Z500 and Z100 series. Leading the industry for over 50 years, these rigs are custom crafted and loaded with more features and advantages to deliver the ultimate ownership experience. The legendary Ranger Z series. Unleash next-level performance. Mercury, go boldly.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Garmin, fight your fish, not your fish finder. Ranger Boats, still building legends, one at a time. Welcome back to this episode of the Fisherman's Handbook. As we continue to take a look at some of our favorite Alabama fishing adventures, we return back to Wilson Lake once again. This time, Clark Wendlandt is joined by Kurt Hill from Power Pole, and they're about to do some heavy-duty flipping around shallow cover.
There's one. Get you up here. That's a nice fish. You know, I really was not 100% sure that was a bite, but I thought, yeah, I think it probably is. That's a nice fish.
Alabama has a little bit of something for everyone. Whether you like to fish fast or slow, top water or bottom baits, even shallow or deep water scenarios. On this particular trip, the shallow bite is on fire, and Clark is utilizing the Power Pole total boat control system to position himself for success.
The Power Pole has just become really a critical part of what I do. As a tournament angler, I use it in so many different ways. You know, the most obvious one is stopping to fish an area wherever I want in shallow water. And you know, but that's just one of the things it can do. I love it for boat control. To me, when I'm fishing docks, if I'm fishing logs, anytime I get in a situation where I get in a little too close, if I go in and I want to get my bait unhung from something, I can still stop and fish instead of having to blow it out with trolling motor. It's huge for me.
That is a good one.
Get him in here.
Do that. There we go.
Yeah.
That is a nice one there.
That's one worth getting a picture of. Wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
I would think so. So I know, Clark, today we've been using the 2-button remote for the power poles to deploy them for most of the day.
Right.
But there's other ways you can deploy them as well, and you can go through a couple of setting features as well. Like the advanced console switch that comes with them. You've got your 3 different speed controls on there for fast, medium, and slow. You can also pick from left, right, or both, so if you just want to turn the nose of the boat, you can lift one up and use your trolling motor to turn the nose of the boat. But we also offer foot switches as well. And they all come with the same features, double tap, auto up, auto down, or you can press and hold and deploy them at the depth that you want.
To me, Kurt, this is a classic example of a way you can use your power poles. I mean, it's a fairly obvious one, but you know, all I've got to do is I hit 2 buttons with the lanyard, poles jump up, I move up. I might only move 10 feet, set them back down, and then I can actually comb all this, because you can't tell where a fish would be in this. If you fish this really fast, you're not going to be able to cover it really good. And so, you know, and if there's any wind, your boat's always drifting one way or another. So, you know, this is like, to me, it's all about the poles when you're fishing cover like this. Yeah, I got that one.
You can't call your shots.
No. I'll bear with it. fun right there. Anytime you can go hand-to-hand combat, flipping like that, I'm having fun. That is fun to me, to get a bite and stuff like that, and you never know. Next jerk, it could be a 6-pounder, 8-pounder, it can be anything. Just gotta be ready.
Stetson Blaylock, Todd Auden, Head Fury, let's go!
Garmin Live Scope, I tell you right now, if you don't have it, you are behind. It's just wild. It's like a video game.
If you do not have that Garmin Live Scope, you are definitely missing out.
Bassmaster Classic Champion!
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories. Fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
From sun up to sundown, day in and day out, we work hard. We play hard. And to keep us going during those long hours, we demand performance. Engel Coolers, the original high-performance cooler.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Yamaha Marine. Reliability starts here. Engel, the original high-performance cooler. Sunline America, the strength to guarantee your confidence. And by Power Pole, total boat control. As we continue our look back at some of the best moments we've had fishing in Alabama throughout the years, we want to head downriver to one of the most well-known fisheries in the nation, Pickwick Lake. Wade, Jeff, Clark, and Michael have met up at the Wilson Dam tail race to go head-to-head in a two-team world championship where all fish count and bragging rights reign supreme.
You know, this competition goes way back.
Wade and Jeff and I have always competed in golf or fishing or whatever we're doing.
It doesn't really matter what it is. I think if a snail was crawling across the deal, Jeff would say he's gonna get here that fast, Clark would say he's gonna get there, and I'm gonna have a totally different opinion just because I gotta have a different opinion. So it's always fun when we get together and put points values on this or that or another, and sometimes we'll gamble a little bit, most times it's just pure manly bragging rights.
So here's the deal. We got a little derby today. Michael and I, and we all got a film against Wade and Jeff.
You reckon he's talking about us right about now? I guarantee you he's talking trash. Ain't no doubt. Right now. He's just yap, 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 like a little chihuahua.
We're going to the tail race. The cool thing about the tail race is there's all kinds of fish there, all kinds of species. Some we don't even hardly know what they are. We're gonna go catch a bunch of fish.
You know them dogs when the salesman knock on the door and they start yapping? I guarantee you that's what he sounds like right now.
We got a scoring system, 1 for any fish, 2 for a largemouth, 20 points for big fish, 10 points for big largemouth.
Little Taco Bell dog. Yep, 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 yep.
It's gonna be fun. Let's go do it.
You know, I've asked a lot of people about tail race fishing, and I've done, you know, the Google and YouTube searches, and I've tried to learn a lot on my own now. And to me, it's all about finding that calmer water, that seam, that ambush point that's out there where that current's moving and those fish are there. And it just seems like to me, every time I'm up on one of these tail races, everything's alive. And so when we get to fish places like this and do things like this, the competition drives you to really focus on it, but it also allows you to open up new ways to catch fish. And man, we just caught everything.
While the fish concentrate in one certain area below the Wilson Dam, boat positioning will become a battle.
I mean, you seen that's right where we were sitting a while ago.
You know I wouldn't do that to you.
Two can play that game. You know, here's the deal. Wade had really figured these fish out and how to catch them, and we were catching them pretty good. Obviously, we wasn't catching them as good as we could because Clark, he kind of
Well, he poached us. I mean, plain and simple.
Obviously, we had it first. Clark come in and poached us, and we had to swap. Wade had to get on the camera, so while we were in the process of swapping out, somebody just slid in here and, I mean, poached us in a big time way. But that's all right. We returned the favor.
If Clark would have been catching them and I would have been down the river, I would have done the exact same thing as him. I would have tried to push him out of the way if I had to. So he really didn't violate any rule on this, but in my mind, I just don't think he should have done it to us, because I think we should have been catching them better.
We were getting whooped at the beginning, but right now, we're giving them a pretty solid beat down. They've been sassing us all morning for not being ready, and truth is, we were just making sure we had all the right baits on. You gotta be prepared.
Having the right bait is key, no matter the circumstances. But when you're locked in a world championship bout with your buddies, it becomes even more important. So important, you'll do anything necessary to gain an advantage.
At that time, Wade had got on the camera and I was fishing by myself against them two, and they were putting it on me pretty good. So I can't have that. I mean, I got to get back in there.
I think Jeff kind of took advantage of the fact that I'm the green one in this group. And I noticed Jeff just kind of inching up on me to where I can't make my cast anymore. But I figure I'm just gonna keep bombing them out there, and whatever happens, happens.
Michael, being the rookie that he is, he threw over and hung my line. He didn't know what was gonna happen. Clark knew what was gonna happen.
Jeff reels Michael's crankbait in.
And he's sitting there just kind of messing around with it for a minute, and I figure, I'm not gonna wait on this. I pick up another rod and I start chunking.
Well, I think that was cheating to start with, because there's multiple rods in the water. So I just cut his crankbait off, because I needed that crankbait, because they were catching them better than I was.
He took our lure halfway through. That's the only reason they ended up catching the last 5 fish they caught. They still hadn't given it back.
I would do it. I mean, it's the exact thing I would do. I mean, seriously, this is competition. So he cuts it off, we tie a different one on, they got the same bait now. Pretty brilliant.
After this final break in the action, a winner will be crowned in the Pickwick Lake World Championship Challenge between these good friends. Keep it tuned here for more.
You know that guy that's always bringing in big ones from offshore? He's got secret lures. That guy that can pull out his spinning rod and start catching them when you can't buy a bite. He's got secret lures. What about that guy that can follow you down the bank and catch what you left behind? He's got secret lures.
Oh, yeah, good one.
If you're ready to be that guy, get your secret lures today at secretlures.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
That's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Spro, Sports Professionals, TH Marine, from transom to trolling motor, and by Big Bite Baits, designed to bring the big bite to your line.
You know, ethics-wise on this, we wouldn't fish this type of a manner and talk this much trash if it was a legitimate tournament. We wouldn't be, you know, cutting each other's lines or all that. It's just part of our friendship and group, and everybody has a group of guys and people like that they travel with, and you know, it's just kind of what we do when we get together. It's not what we would advocate out there. You know, we want everybody to, you know, be respectful about everybody else out on the water. But in this type of a deal, it's every team for itself. If you cast over my line, I might crush your crankbait. If you throw in front of you and you're catching them, we're gonna cut your bait off because we want every advantage we can when it's among friends.
You know, one thing in a competition is you always want to be prepared.
Keep going that way. Golly. I know it's a big drum. Oh, big one? Yeah. You want the net? I got a net. Let's see how big he is. I just got a decent look at him. Not a real good one. Oh yeah.
Get the net?
Yeah.
Now Clark, he kind of looked at this as cheating, but I look at it like we were prepared more than he was, because when I hooked that big drum, Wade reaches down and just pulls out a big old net. And I'm thinking, you can't beat this. Clark don't have a net, but we did. That's just being more prepared. You normally don't get excited about catching drum, but when we made drum count on the competition, I'm kind of excited about catching. We're looking at him, we put him on the scales, and we're thinking, this may do it. This is a 20-point bonus. It's like catch 20 fish.
I bet that's a 10-pounder. Bet he's 8.5. Wow, not as big as I thought. How big? 6'3". That's good enough.
Cool. Hey, from where they're at though, he looked. See how far they are from us? I mean, from here he probably looked like he was 14, so we'll just round it up. Looking back at Clark, you know, you see that old face getting a little bit longer and longer and longer, because he kind of knew, yes, we're going to have to catch one bigger, because we probably can't catch 20 of them to make up for that one fish.
You know Wade?
No. He's smaller than yours, don't you think?
He's chunky. But mine was 3.8.
Yeah, he ain't that big.
Okay.
As the afternoon progressed, the Alabama fish continued to bite. Clark and Michael have managed to catch the most, but can they overcome the bonus fish Jeff landed earlier in the day?
You know, the reality of it is there has to be a winner, and there has to be a guy in second place.
They beat us by 3 points.
We are the champions. Wade Middleton, Jeff Reynolds, world champion, Pickwick tail race.
I was like, gosh, I mean, maybe we ought to go again. And Jeff's like, I think we're good. We don't need to fish any longer. It's good, because he won.
So this trip was something that, you know, we really don't get to do anything like this very often. Me and Jeff are usually the camera guys. So coming out to Pickwick and fishing something different and doing the tail race, that was just an awesome opportunity, and it was a lot of fun.
This also shows you can just go out and go fishing on a place like this. You know, be safe, study the water, life jackets, kill switches, all that we preach, but you can go out and wet a line here and catch fish. And at the end of the day, that takes you back to the beginning of your fishing careers, the beginning of whatever. It's just simply about getting bites. And when you get a bite, you resort back to that little giggling kid, and you get to turn around and go, I caught one, you didn't. I just popped it off of a rock, and I mean, he was there.
Little bitty guy. But hey.
He's a bass.
At least I got one. Feels like we're redfish fishing.
It's easy to see why Alabama is one of our favorite states to visit when it comes to catching lots of quality fish. The diversity of the fisheries, breathtaking scenery, and southern hospitality all contribute to Alabama's lure as a premier fishing destination.
Oh, he choked on it. Got a fish. Come here, buddy. Oh, come on up here. Let's get you unhooked. Let it go. Barely got you hooked. That's fun, isn't it? Never, ever gets old.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Fisherman's Handbook. This has been a Carico TV production.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
You know, when I look at the tournaments I've won, probably 4 or 5 of the boats that I've won have been on a tube. But I'd completely gotten away from flipping a tube because nobody made one soft enough.
Big Bite has come with this new tour series of baits. The thing that's probably the most unique is when you look at that bait, the salt just rolls out of it. And to me, that is the reason a fish bites a tube and hangs on to it. This isn't one of those let's go out and catch some smallmouth tube. This is a let's get it done tube.
The Little John family expands with new rattling versions of the Little John 50 and Little John 50 MD. Both of these baits are proven fish catchers that will now be available in rattling versions for stained and muddy water. They feature the same great action and diving depths as the original 50 and MD sizes.